This is Ready, Set, Renovate, a podcast about remodeling your home with a contractor you trust. Daniel Builders builds trust in 5 ways. One of those ways is communication. What is the best way to communicate? A strong case could be made for pictures. Showing someone a picture saves a multitude of words. Our guest today is all about capturing the big picture. He's drone photographer Ryan Swanson, and he's the owner-operator of Upper Edge Drones. Ryan discusses cutting-edge technology behind drone photography and how these devices have become a real asset to builders and homeowners alike. So let's get to it. From house to Pinterest, photography is a pretty big deal. A lot of people are looking to photography for many different reasons, whether it's to document something, whether it's to inspire ideas, or whether it's to showcase a final product. Photography plays a really big role in the remodeling process. And thanks for joining us today, Ryan. Absolutely. I mean, you understand photography. You've shot many of our projects. Tell us a little bit about what you see photography communicating to the various people in the remodeling industry.
Yeah, for sure. First of all, thanks for having me here. This is a privilege to have this conversation. That question, what we're trying to communicate with photography, it kind of is different for each client, and it really comes down to what they're looking for. For you guys doing remodel work and with construction projects, that kind of thing, really what we're doing is not trying to create something new with our photography. So I don't like to think of it as an art that way, as much of photography is. Mm. But instead, we're trying to replicate the beauty that is already there in the project that you've done. Mm. When I walk into a kitchen remodel, let's say, I am always wowed by the architecture, the engineering, the detail and minutia. That is so much that has gone into this. And my job then is not to create something new so that someone looking at the photographs would be wowed by the photographer, but rather that they would be amazed by the engineering that went into that work. So instead of trying to create something new, I'm trying to replicate an experience of actually being there in that remodel.
So in essence, you're telling a story. You're like this.
Yes.
You're kind of a reporter in a sense. You're showcasing what is. Obviously, we want our remodels to be put in the best light possible. Mm-hmm. But to your point, in an effort to build trust, we don't want to have photography that showcases things that really isn't true to reality.
Exactly. But I have yet to be in one of your projects that I feel like needs to be enhanced. So,
well, thank you. Quite a compliment.
We've done fine just replicating at this point.
Yeah. Well, now, in addition to photography, you also do drone work. And drone work seems to be taking off, and the capabilities, like not just taking photos from way up high, but you can actually get into projects, get on the ground level, fly through a home, and showcase some of the things going on. Tell us a little bit about that.
Drones have really, it's hard to discuss it without using that pun, taken off.
That's pretty good.
It happens all the time
joke,
in business.
Just scored a perfect 10.
Yeah, that's right. But no, it's the realm of drone photography, videography, has really expanded in the past decade, probably. But where we're seeing a lot of it used in construction and real estate remodeling, what you're referencing is actually the ability to fly through a house, which we've recently upgraded to a drone that's designed for that has covered propellers and things like that, so it's safe in the remodel just in case something goes wrong and we hit a wall or something like that.
You're not putting dents in anything?
We're not taking your projects backwards, you know?
Yeah.
To remodel the remodel.
Creating a punch list.
Yeah, that's right. So that is that's one way that we're able to use the drone, but there's so many others, and it's expanding in other fields as well. I don't think we have any idea how drones will be used 10 years from now. It's just there's so many. This week we had a vacation Bible school at our church.
Yeah.
And I took that interior drone and strapped it. It was space themed, so I strapped a rocket strip.
Nice. I bet the kids love that.
To it. Yeah, and flew that down the center aisle all through the church. It was great.
Very cool.
That same night, I was outside. It was really smoky for some reason. It smelled like smoke. And this fire truck came by, stopped, and said, hey, we're looking for a fire. Can you help us find it? I said, just a second. Sent the drone up, found the fire, told him the street it was on.
No way.
Drones are just going to be used for about everything.
Yeah.
We have no idea. All that
What a
they're
cool
capable
story.
of.
So that kind of saved the day. Drone
Yeah, a little
came
bit.
in handy,
Yep.
detected where the fire was, and directed
Right.
the fire engine that way. That's a really cool story. Now, with drones, you can still get still shots, right? It's not just video. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's two main things that we're doing for contractors as far as on construction sites. One would just be a simple photo progression. So they have us come every month, something like that, to get shots, cardinal directions all the way around, maybe some close-ups of stockpiles, that kind of thing, just for their records.
Okay.
That's a very simple job. Those are just
documenting
photos.
type.
Yep, just for documentation. That's it. But then there's another aspect of drone photography called photogrammetry. It's also called orthomosaic or drone mapping. And it's not a new technology because Google Maps has been using this for, over a decade to look at a satellite image. And what they're doing is taking, for them, millions and millions of photos and stitching it together into a 3D map. And so we can do that on a job site, and it's a pre-programmed. We'll take our iPad and work a map on there, and then literally just hit go, and the drone knows then, based on GPS coordinates, it's telling it where to go, and it flies itself in a pattern and takes 100,000 pictures, depending on how many acres the site is, and then it stitches those all together.
So it's still shots that it's taking.
Still shots. And then we stitch those together, send it to the contractor, and then a project manager can be sitting in his office and be keeping track of all these job sites that are going on. And he can actually kind of relive that. And even in the 3D map, it's accurate enough where he can measure stockpiles to see, was I delivering enough of this, that kind of thing.
That's pretty cool. There's some really cool technology. And I've heard a little bit about that, like with roofers, how they'll quote a project solely based on those images.
Yes.
And even a guy talked to recently, his pressure washing business is taking off, and he quotes the whole thing based on an image that he pulls off of Google Maps.
It's interesting with pressure washing. I spoke to a company recently who has moved to using drones for the pressure washing, so they don't have to get up on ladders. They have a hose hanging off of a massive drone that has a high pressure pump on it, and they will pressure wash a house with a drone.
Just flying remote control.
Exactly.
How cool. That's wild. Where do pictures lead people astray? Like sometimes you can put a picture out there and you detect an eye for photoshopping that's not really true to reality.
Yeah.
Can you educate us a little bit on that?
Oh yeah, all the time we have clients that are asking us to tweak and do different things, and like yesterday I had a guy that just installed new pillars on the front of the house and he's trying to sell the house, so he wanted me to paint them or stain them in Photoshop, which I don't have as much a problem as that because I know he's about to do it. So I don't feel like it's misrepresenting because they're about to be stained. And sure, I'll make them a little darker. We were doing one place up in the mountains, North Carolina, a real estate job. And a lady on the way there, the owner sent us, I think, 3 different voice memos with a list of things that she wanted edited. And put water in the hot tub in post-production, paint the side of the house, put fire in the fireplace, all these things that can be done. But, eventually you come to a line where is this still being honest in the photography? So there was another situation. It was just a lot up in the mountains. A lady lives in Alaska, was trying to sell. She owns some land shark, was trying to sell this lot in the mountains. And so she had us come and do video on it and then produce a 1-minute video montage of the property. So I finished it, sent it to her. And she said, oh, no, that'll never work because it makes the property look really steep. Well, the property was really steep. That's the problem.
We got to flatten that out.
Yeah. So she said, I want you to take out all the video angles that show the steep part of the property, which was pretty much the whole thing.
Oh no.
And so I said, look, I'll take out the ones that emphasize it,
Yeah.
that just focus on how steep it is. But I'm not taking out the wide angles that show the whole property, because that would
true
be
to what the
dishonest.
property is.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, it gets to one of our values, trust. At Daniel Builders, building trust is our tagline, and we constantly harp on this idea of trust.
Yeah.
So if you're showcasing something and a person is wowed by it in the photography, and then they go to the site and they see it in person, they essentially see you as a liar, right?
Yes.
I mean, you just deceived them.
That's true.
Because and nobody wants that reputation.
That's true.
So-
It's better, I guess, when somebody says, wow, the photos did not do this justice. In that case,
Yes. Yeah.
But that is actually, while we're hitting on that, a problem that we try to solve is we want to be as accurate as possible, especially when we're doing architectural photography, which is when we're going and taking shots of a remodel, that kind of thing. That's when we want to be accurate, true to the job, but for the sake of your marketing purposes, for the sake of a client looking for possibilities for their project, we want them to experience that. Now, the way we do that is to try to replicate what our eyes are seeing. It is amazing how God has designed the eyes so that literally thousands and thousands of years it's taken us to get cameras that are somewhat close to representing that.
To his original design.
Design.
Yeah.
But, there's a couple of aspects to that. When I walk into a remodel and I'm there's things like I have an extremely wide angle of view to that project. So if I just take an iPhone photo and show it to someone, it's only going to show so much. If I'm there, the way our eyes are designed, a peripheral, you get an experience of everything. So one way we try to do that is as wide a angle lens as possible to capture that, for example.
Yeah.
Another aspect of trying to reduplicate that experience is in the dynamic range that God has programmed in our eyes. That the dynamic range is the brightest thing and the darkest thing that you're able to see at the same time. If you notice,
you're putting together contrast.
Exactly. If you take an iPhone photo of a living room or whatever, anything with windows, you can expose correctly for inside, but the windows are going to be completely white and blown out. And a part of the experience of being here is because the way God's designed us, I can look at you, I can still see outside both directions and enjoy the outside view. And in real estate and even architecture, you want to be able to do that to get the full experience.
Yeah.
So the way we solve that problem, another example is through something called exposure bracketing. So every time I take a shot, I'm taking 3 shots or more at different. I'm taking one really dark one that I'm going to pull the windows on, and then one medium, and then really bright for the shadows, and then we blend those together all in post-production.
Wow, there's a real science that goes into this. It's not just show up with a camera and start firing away, right? Yeah. Well, when you get a shoot and you go out on site and you set everything up and you come away with these pictures, are you trying to get as many pictures as you possibly can? Because, I mean, you've been around people that say too much. They could have said something in a sentence or two, but they took like 5 minutes of your time telling you multiple paragraphs.
Yeah.
What is the optimal amount of pictures you want to get out of a shoot? And I guess that depends on how they're being used, right?
It does, yes. If I'm doing a real estate job, and I just told a client this yesterday, I really try to overshoot, because the last thing I want is for them to say, oh, you get a picture of this closet or something like that, and they're coming out there. So even if I'm there and they're saying, we don't need a picture of this closet, I'm taking a picture of the closet.
Yes, that's wise.
Yeah, because I know what can happen, and they decide they want it, and I don't want to have to come back out there for that. I want them just to have everything available, and then I tell them, you go through the photos and decide which ones you want for the listing. That's totally fine.
I love that strategy, by the way, because some people are like giving you 5 amazing shots, but that's it. Just 5.
Right.
And to your point, there's more to the story than just those 5 shots tell.
Exactly. Yeah. So. Now, if I'm going through, I'll I will always kind of weed through my own shots in the post-production, decides which ones I want to deliver. And especially with something like the architectural photography, one photo can say so much in that. It can really give the experience, especially with that wide angle lens where you're able to see a whole room like that. It can give so much. So if I've got, 5 that are really solid and a 6th one that provides a different angle, but I don't like it quite as much, I'm not going to deliver it because I don't feel like it's necessary for that project. So generally, to answer your question, for architectural stuff, which would be remodels and that kind of thing, 5 to 10 photos, I think, is generally what we deliver, somewhere in there, maybe a dozen from different angles and that kind of thing. But it
Real
doesn't
high
take much.
quality shots.
Yeah, we're able to, with a smaller delivery, we're able to really focus on the quality of that image, and again, reduplicating the experience. Another thing you got to watch for in architectural stuff is making sure all your lines, the vertical lines, are straight. So when you use a wide angle lens, it can tend to warp the photos, and then if you show that to your clients, they're going to think, man, what's wrong with your engineers? They're putting archways on the sides of the walls, But it's just a fisheye effect that we have to fix in post-production and make sure everything is very straight.
Okay.
Editing is a big deal.
So when you're looking at pictures as a photographer, you're kind of coming at it from another vantage point. You're looking at different things than the average person that just kind of scrolls through photos.
Yeah.
Well, photography obviously plays a huge role in remodeling. If you're not seeing what the contractor can do with photography, you're almost buying sight unseen. You can go to the house, which is, I would recommend, even better to see it in person. But photography obviously plays an essential role. The future of photography and some opportunities for those in the remodeling industry and those in the building industry. As we close out, what are some of the things that you talked about technology a little bit? Are there any more things on the horizon that are going to enhance this remodeling process coming out of the photography realm?
When you talk about technology developing in the future, the big hype right now is AI.
Yes, yeah, it's all over.
So it's been the discussion on all the photography forums. Are photographers going to be replaced? Because right now you can type into AI and ask it to create this, a living room with this and that, and it'll do it, and it'll look very real because it's sampling from billions of photos that are online and designing something itself based on that. There's actually tools in Photoshop right now, beta tools for photography that are AI based. So, for example, the angle right now that the video camera is getting of you and I. If that was a photo, we could say, why don't you expand that? We want to see the whole room. Well, the lens can't see that, but the computer system and AI will try to figure out what the rest of the room will look like. And
that's
literally
crazy.
expand that view.
Man.
So thankfully right now, I say thankfully for the sake of us photographers, that it's not legal to be used in a commercial setting. Whether that's just because it's beta with Photoshop and they're still working out things, or whether it's copyrighted as a part of the AI software, I'm not sure. But I don't think there's a huge danger of being replaced because, again, we're here not to create something. It's to replicate what's already there, and there will always be a need for that.
Absolutely. So, and people prefer people. I know I do. Than computers.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Maybe not everybody, but I see a tremendous value in being able to just have conversation like this and know there's a person that's actually carrying out what I'm asking them to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, man, it's been a great conversation. Some really good content here. For anybody who's interested in learning more about photography or wanting the services of Ryan, we can get that up on our website. He's been a true asset for us as far as getting photography of some of our projects, and as you've just heard, has a tremendous amount of knowledge in that realm. Ryan, thanks. And until next time, we'll see you.
We're delighted you tuned in for today's episode of Ready, Set, Renovate, your guide design build resource. Are you ready for your home to undergo a transformation? We'd love to talk to you about it. Visit us at danielbuilders.com and tell us about the home renovation you envision. In the meantime, subscribe to Ready, Set, Renovate, and we'll keep the renovation inspiration coming.